Hey, Shalom. First, I'd like to give all praises, honor, and glory to Yahweh, Bahashim, Yahweh Shah, Bahashim Kwakadash, Yahweh, who the world ignorantly calls God, Yahweh Shah, who the world ignorantly calls Jesus, and when he give a double honors to the apostles, a great millstone who has taught me this truth, when he give a peace and blessings to the Akim across the four corners of the earth who teach this truth and risk their life to do so. It's going to be a quick video. Lower when the video's edifying, lower when the Akim get something from this video. Let me get a couple precepts here in Psalm 73, concerning the mind of the wicked. And I always say this, man, if you don't know who you are, then you don't know who your enemy is. Okay, I'm gonna say that again. If you don't know who you are, then you don't know who your enemy is. And if you don't know who your enemy is, then you won't know what's planned. Okay, if you don't know what's planned, then you'll just be living in the matrix. Okay, hence why during back when we had the C19 was rampant, right? They offered what? That pokey thing, right? They offered that. And the majority of people, a lot of people took it because they were scared of, maybe losing their job, maybe losing income, maybe whatever. But like I was watching a brother's video, but you see the backlash and you see the things that happens when you listen to the wicked. So all the other medical things that pop up, right? Whether it be these blood clots, whether it be, these people not being able to function in a correct way or think in a correct way, right? That all goes to show you that, hey, you fell right into the enemy's plan. But if you knew he was the enemy, then you will understand that, like the scriptures say, never trust thine enemy. Okay? For as iron rusted, so is his wickedness. This man is not for your turn. He has never been for the Israelites' turn, right? If you look at, and I mentioned this in the last video, but if you read the story of Maccabees, right, when they went in and they went in and tried and took over Jerusalem, right, and they did what they did, they always had an agenda on separating the Israelites from the Most High. Only an enemy would do that, okay? As a matter of fact, if you look at the so-called white man, right, which are the Edomites, okay? Like when you go to Malachi 1, right, it says what? That they were rebuild. Part of their rebuilding was deceiving the world. Part of their rebuilding was their agenda. Part of their rebuilding was being confederate with the other heathen to take down Israelites, right? Contrary to popular belief, that's what it was. That's what it is. Okay? I'm not talking about your everyday six-pack Joe Schmo Edomite. I'm talking about the ones that are even above him. Okay? Like I have a family member in the world, man. He said some real shit a couple years ago. He was like, what'd he say? He was like, yeah, man, I'm not worried about the white people I can see. Shit. I'm worried about the ones I can't see. All the they all Edomites, right? But what he was saying was the ones you can't see is the ones really that got the power and the ones that's really doing the wicked things behind the scenes, okay? And you people are falling right into the trap. Even our people, 2/3 of Israelites are falling right into the trap, right? Because what? You trust in Egypt. You trust in oppression, okay? You trust in these things. You trust that America has your best interest. You trust that the rulership, not just America, but wherever Jake at, because we are scattered, right? You trust that wherever you at has your best interest, and that's far from the truth. That's far from the truth. Okay, when they needed us, what did they do, right? Think about the building of America. They used us, okay? It's not a coincidence that they got the Southern Kingdom, put them on slave ships, brought them over here to America. But when they came over here, Northern Kingdom, the Northern Kingdom was already over here, and they oppressed them too, right? The Edomites they oppressed on both sides. They oppressed the Northern Kingdom and they oppressed the Southern Kingdom. Put both of us into captivity, right? They put both of us into captivity, and then right they have a little civilization, right? And now since Jake is not in hard bondage anymore, right? Since Jake is not in hard bondage anymore, he thinks that these heathen and the so-called white man got his best interest. That's not the case. That's not the case, because You got to always remember, how did you start off and why did you start off so low? To the point to where you don't even know who you are. To the point to where they got you arguing with other Israelites that you African, that you this, that you that. Right? Because it's to keep you from not knowing who your enemy is. If you don't know who your enemy is, you can't plan for his attack. Right? When you come into and I don't mean to ramble, but I gotta say this: when you come into the truth, right, you understand who the enemy is, right? But you understand how to attack the enemy. Scriptures say what? That the weapons of our warfare are not carnal. Right? So how do you attack the enemy? Well, you attack him by going back to your power, which the Father name is Yahweh, the Son name is Yahweh Shai. Okay? That's what they don't want to see, because guess what? As soon as you had like-minded men with the scriptures that are Israelites on the highways and byways and making these shows week in and week out, day in and day out, right? Everything has been happening as far prophecy has been, and that's prophecy as well. But more prophecy has been coming to pass. His rulership has been on a down slope, whether it's, the majority of you people, not being able to function, whether it's debts, whether it's you people or them trying to raise the debt ceiling, right? So the economy can function, whatever, man, right? But all that goes to show you that what? This shit is on a decline. It's not on an incline. It's not good old America. It's not, nah. Only the simple believe in that. But if you know the truth, then you would know what's really going on. If you know the truth, and if you knew the truth, then you would understand what's really going on. Why not to take the pokey or anything that they offer? Why you don't take the CHIP, Slovakia, right? Why you don't take the CHIP? Okay? You will understand why you don't do it, and then you will understand that, okay, man, an enemy is behind all this shit, right? But that's why scriptures tell us what? Look at the generations of old. When you look at the generations of old, like a story I just mentioned, which is in the Maccabees, if you look at the time when Alexander came, right, to Jerusalem, right, and if you look at, what his generals did and what the other Edomites did, you will see that the whole plan, part of their plan the whole time was to separate us from the Lord, right? So what? Oh, what they say, one of the first things that they did? Hey, stop following God's ways and follow our ways, right? They try to give men license to sin, and 2/3 of Israelites went out and did that. Okay, which I'll find that and get it. This is Psalm 73. In 3, it says, "For I was envious at the foolish when I saw the prosperity of the wicked." It says, "For there are no bands in their death, but their strength is firm." It says, "They are not in trouble as other men." And to confirm and to prove that the scripture is real, and who the wicked is, well, you got to understand the blessing of Esau. It was the fatness of the earth and a sword. Okay, and how does he rule? With the sword. And what is his blessing? Look at the riches of the riches. Go in any state that you're in, right? Whether it be California, Arizona, New Mexico, Texas, New York, Florida, wherever you at, right? Wherever you at, go. When you go you got two different sides of the city. You got the rich part of the city. You got the poor part of the city. Go to the rich part and tell me who live in there. No matter where you at, right? Go to the rich part and tell me who live in there. Okay? And then not just that, but look at the resources that they have around, and then go to the poor parts and you tell me what you see. Right? It's not a coincidence that it's set up like that. Right? Although it is part of the curses, it's not a coincidence that it's set up like that. Because what? The scriptures do say that they help forth the affliction. So yeah, scriptures say, well, we'll come down very low and they'll come up very high, right? But with them coming up very high, look at the bullshit that they've done. Okay? To keep you down. Oh, you know exactly what to do to keep them from, put this in their food, put that in their food. Tell them the law, statutes, and commandments is done away with. Show them this image of a white Jesus and use it because it's a saying, right? He that controls images controls minds. If they could get your mind, right, with an image, then that's more than half of the battle. Okay? Look at older Israelites, right? Both southern and northern kingdom. You go into a northern kingdom house, you're gonna see what? You're gonna see different statues of, so-called white men, right? Saint this, saint that, right? You're gonna see Mary, right, in their house, but you're gonna see a white Mary. Okay? Right? Why? But why is it like that? Because that was part of the deceiving process. But you won't know that if you don't know that this man is the enemy. And I'm not talking about all so-called white people, because you got to understand, you have Israelites, right? You have Israelites that look white. You got Israelites that look Asian. You got Israelites that look like all the nations. So all the nations, so what? It's a spirit that bears witness. Okay? It says 5, it says, they are not in trouble as other men, neither are they plagued like other men. Therefore, pride compasseth them about as a chain. Violence covereth them as a garment. Their eyes stand out with fatness. They have more than heart could wish. And they do. They do. Man, they ain't got time to sit and talk about poverty. Trying to sit there and talking about poverty. Like, they're not tripping about that. They're not really trying to fix it. They're really trying to, okay, let's make it look like we're fixing it, but how can we gain on the back end? Right? That's the game. That's how they do shit. It's always, it has to be an interest rate on the back. Right? Whatever they do is ultimately for their gain at the end of the day. Right? It says they are corrupt. See, they are corrupt. They are corrupt, man. It says, and speak wickedly concerning oppression. They speak lawfully, right? They speak wickedly concerning, they don't know oppression yet. But in due time, they will. Not just the so-called white men, but all the rest of the heathen. Because scriptures say what? They are confederate when you read that in Psalms. Okay? Let me get this real quick because I went into it. Right here. Yep. Right here. Okay. And you still have this going on to this day. Okay. This is First Maccabees 1. And I'll start at I'm not gonna read 7, 8, 9. I might do a separate video on that, going into the generals. But I'll go to 11, which is the point. It says, those days went there out of Israel wicked men who persuaded many, saying, let us go and make a covenant with the heathen that are round about us. So it said what? They said what? Let us go make a covenant with the heathen, not keeping a covenant with the Lord, right? But let's go make it with the, and look, this was how long ago? So you still got the same minds back today. But look, you had these same minds back in Numbers 14. Okay? I believe it's Numbers 14. Back when they were trying to go back to Egypt. All right? You had wicked Israelites after they seen everything. They were still talking about oppression. Still talking about, oh, did the Lord bring us to the wilderness just to kill us? Did the Lord bring us to the wilderness to make our wives widows? And they're reminiscing on captivity. And they didn't enter into that rest, which at that rest was at that time, the rest was Israel, going into Israel, right? But scriptures also say that it'll be some now that's not going to enter into the rest, which the rest now is the kingdom. Okay? It says, in those days went there out of Israel wicked men who persuaded many, saying, let us go and make a covenant with the heathen that are round about us. For since we departed from them, we have had much sorrow. Okay? And that's the mind of your average Jake today. Your average two-third Jake today. Okay? 12, it says, so this device pleased them well. Then certain of the people were so forward herein that they went to the king, who gave them license to do after the ordinances of the heathen. And this is what they've done, even to this day. Okay? What? They was doing all kind of manner of wickedness, man. Okay? Putting their foreskin back on, not getting circumcised, right? Not keeping the customs, eating swine's flesh, right? Making wicked ass sacrifices, right? But how did this stem, right? It stemmed from the enemy. But again, if the enemy can show you and deceive you that I'm not your enemy, I'm your friend, you'll never know his attack. It's so simple, right? I play football, right? And it's simple as this. I used to play football in the world, right? And you got to think the other team has a different color jersey for a reason, to let you know that you guys are opponents, right? If they're wearing white, you guys have to wear a dark jersey. So if you're home, you get to wear your dark jersey and they have to wear a white jersey. They try to make the colors as opposite as possible. So there's no confusion on who the opponent is. But just imagine if everybody wore the same jersey. How confused, you wouldn't know who. Unless you knew everybody's face that was on your team. You wouldn't know who. You like, who the fuck, right? Oh shit, you throw an interception, you threw it to the, but you thought that was, but he's scoring now. He running the opposite way, right? Because what? He deceived you to what? Think that he was on your team. And that's not the case. Okay? It says, whereupon they built a place of exercise at Jerusalem according to the customs of the heathen, and made themselves uncircumcised, and forsook the holy covenant, and joined themselves to the heathen, and were sold to do mischief. Okay, and this is what Jake has. So do a build up now. All the way until now. You still have Jake with this shit. You got some Jake saying that slavery didn't exist. But you could look in history, which wasn't too long ago, and you can see that there was segregation. Well, where did that stem from? Why was it segregated? If everybody was cool, why was a couple different, why was it different bathrooms for Jake than so-called white people? And why, when you went in Jake's bathroom, it was fucked up and the water wasn't running, it was brown, it was dirty. But when you went in the so-called white people bathroom, right, it was clean, nice, right, maintained. But, oh, slavery didn't exist. You niggas is crazy. You out of your mind, man. Right? You out of your mind. But niggas like that, you can't really have a conversation with. And the reason why is because he now has turned himself into the enemy. And it's a great saying, man. In the world, they say what? The greatest war is the war you ain't got to fight. So if the enemy could turn his enemies, right, against each other, then he ain't got it. So if he could turn Jake against Jake, shit, cool. Cool. They gonna knock each other down just without us doing nothing. Sure, let these niggas share the bathroom. Sure, make everybody be an employee regardless of what color they look. And you simple-minded niggas think that you're on a level as these heathen in this time because you might live around heathens, right? You might see. Scripture say what? Our people, they lack understanding, right? They lack understanding, man. They're sottish, which sottish means stupid. Okay? The last thing these heathen want is for you to come back to the Lord, man. So they're going to do everything that they possibly can to stop you from doing that, because the more we come to the Lord, right, and the more we turn our ways toward the Lord, right, and start doing the right things and not carrying ourselves like niggas, that plantation nigga mind, right? The moment we drop that and get back to our customs and get back to being men, okay, when you read the books of old, read how Solomon dealt and how he talked and how he thought and how he had everything in order. Read how King David was mighty, but still had mercy and compassion. Read how his men, right, his mighty men, right, read how they were in order, right? Read how the different prophets through different captivities, right, they stood firm. Read how, remember Daniel, when he was young, they were trying to give him what? Abominable food to eat, right? And he was like, no, I'm not eating that. But let us eat, right? I think they were eating the fruits of the field, if I'm not mistaken, right? And they were glowing and looked more healthier than the ones who was eating abominable food. Because the servant that was trying to give David the food, or not David, so like it, Daniel, the food, he was like, man, if you don't eat this food, I'm gonna get in trouble, right? And Daniel was like, no, man, let us eat the herbs and all that over there. And then, when they examined them, they were looking more healthier than the men that was eating the abominations. Okay? So we got to get back to these stories. You got to get back to knowing who you are. See, I said this at camp, man. This dude came up or whatever, ordered Jake, and obviously he didn't have any understanding. But I told him, like, the Bible is not a religion. It's not a book of religion. It's a book of statutes. It's a book of laws. It's a history book. It also has prophecy in it, right? It has good things in it and it has hardships in it, right? It also tells you what happened, what's currently happening, and what's going to happen. Okay? It's not it's not what these so-called pastors, man, these so-called Christian pastors, it's not what they taught you. It's not because really they use scriptures from motivational speeches, right? That's what they're doing. They're really coaches at the end of the day for the people, right? But they're using God to back up their sayings, but really you're not using it because they don't even know God. They don't even know God, and there's so much wickedness going on in these so-called church houses that it's a shame that y'all wouldn't even put your hand on the Bible and say this is the house of the Lord. The Lord said, what house would you make me? My temple is not, made with man's hands. What would you build me? Everything is the Lord's, man. Come on, man. But yeah, man, just a quick video on that. Basically to sum it up, man, if you don't know who the enemy is,